potential for wealth creation. And this wealth were coming, but the people were just spending them, squandering them, looting them, as if there would be no tomorrow. So the first thing that the president did when he came, it has been part of our manifesto when we merged and formed the APC. It was in our manifesto when we were in CPC. So it has been a signature of President Muhammadu Buhari. Anti-corruption is what he is, apart from rule of law, security. I've not seen what the president has been so concerned about like anti-corruption, except, of course, the care for the ordinary man. So the first war that was won against corruption was the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari as the president of this country. His values, his ways of life are practical example of what an anti-corruption is. That is the right man to fight corruption. Because look around him, there's nothing corruptible. So that has given the war against corruption a very big push, because this is a man who lives by example. Because you cannot be teaching people to do something when you cannot do that. Secondly, there are certain mechanisms that this government has put in place that quietly corruption is beating a retreat. Even though in some cases they may be fighting back, but there are more of them that are receding, retreating,
than are fighting back,
and abandoning than those that are fighting. And that is the commitment, the unstoppable vision of President Muhammadu Buhari. Let me bring certain very simple inputs that have, within a short period of time, sanitized the mindset, the psyche, the propensity for avarice by an average Nigerian. Look at the TSA. You wouldn't be able to know, we may not be able to know how much gains the government has had with regard to TSA, where every government, every agency was forced to put all monies under one account. It was a tremendous success. And government has raked in billions, hundreds of billions in that. Some agencies and organizations try to dodge and dribble out of it, but the president insisted that every agency or establishment must go by the TSA. So the BVN, the whistleblowing, and the recovery of loots from outside the country. If you look at all these inputs, you will find that each and every one of them in its own area has raked in, has harvested so much sanity in the mindset of the people. And to me, that is a great success of the anti-corruption war. I was privileged to be in the president's entourage to America when we met Obama. And one of the issues Mr. President raised early in the day of that administration in 2011 was to seek for the cooperation of Obama and all other world leaders to repatriate the looted funds Nigerians have taken to their countries and other nationals have taken to their country. And Obama decisively, there and then, gave the president some accolades, praises, and said he was going to cooperate with Mr. President to ensure that all looted funds that were stashed in his country will be repatriated. So the fight against corruption is holistic. The president has taken it holistically. It is in many facets, but people just isolate one or two issues. Somebody being taken to EFCC because he's from this party or from that party, and forget about the remaining aspect of the most fundamental fight against corruption. And I would like to say without any fear of contradiction that the fight against corruption has taken a new dimension.
How?
He said, don't vote corrupt politicians into office so that we reduce their number. We do not give them the platform and opportunity to be many within within government, so that resources of this country will be saved. That is very, very important statement, and I am calling on electors to look carefully, look at the antecedents, look at the records, look at the pedigree of who is wanting to be elected for a particular position. What has been his lifestyle? Where has he got his riches? Where has he made his money? I think if the voters and the people of this country hearken to the call of Mr. President to be wary of corrupt politicians from taking positions, I think that will take the war against corruption very, very far, democratically. The war would have had another democratic angle where people would refuse to vote people who are known to be corrupt.
Now,
and the last one,
yeah.
I was privileged to be in the president's entourage to Mauritania. If you are a Nigerian then, when we went for that about 4 or 5 months ago, you will be proud that you are a Nigerian. In that meeting of African Union, virtually one after the other African leaders stood and spoke glowingly on the values and efforts of President Muhammadu Buhari against anti-corruption. And the last thing, look at the edifice he has built for the EFCC with all the modern technology to ensure extraction of information and recovery of our funds. And what, again, they are also involving the social organizations. This, to me, is another angle that will unbundle the fight against corruption and bring it even closer to the people. These social organizations will add tremendous amount of value in the fight against corruption. And I believe if we give the EFCC, under the leadership of Magu, our support and cooperation, and also be part and parcel of the war against anti-corruption and against corruption, I think the degree and velocity of quashing corruption in this country will have increased and would have attained the result within the very shortest possible time.
Now, I know we're running out of time, Your Excellency, but I will still have to ask you this. I have to go back to the question I asked about Senator Adamu. Okay.
It's a matter of policy and a matter of adherence to order. As the governor of Nasarawa State, I'm the leader of this state by the special grace of God. And certain respect and honor should be given to me and that office. And to stampede the office in trying to meddle into issues that is likely going to bring misunderstanding and bring passions amongst people is not something I would tolerate. And I have tried as much as I can to work with him. We are still working. We only have one difference or another. Only 2 months ago, I had to plead with one of the people even contesting with him, my secretary to the state government, a very charismatic and likable fellow who would have contested, but through entities from the senator himself, we have to plead with my secretary to the state government to step down.
For him?
For him. And I hope you would have been kind enough to mention that not to just leave the matter as if we're fighting. No, we're not fighting. We're talking on matters of principle and what should be done. He had been a governor for 8 years, and I respect him. I give him all the honor and courtesies of that pedigree. And I also expect a reciprocation of that as the governor and leader of the party in the state. If he has not given me, I think that's the question he needs to answer. But as far as I'm concerned, I am committed to ensuring a level playing field. I've not anointed anybody. To say this is very unfair, because up to this point in time, I've not come to call the people of Nasarawa State with me as the governor and say, come and vote this way. We haven't reached that stage. I am only guiding all the aspirants and looking at the material that could best suit that office. Because it's not a tea party. It's not just coming because you want to be a governor and have sarin or make a lot of money or you have your pictures pasted on. It's a task that must be done. Do you have the capacity? Do you have the competence? So I, like other students of Nasarawa, are watching and looking at the best materials amongst them. And at a point in time, I have a right as an individual, as citizen of this country, to want a particular candidate, but not to impose him. So when you talk about imposition, you have to approve where I have come and push that through the throat of the people of the South. So as far as I'm concerned, it's an electoral process. It's a democratic process. Let all that are angling for positions go through due process, appeal to the people, talk about issues, talk about your programs, your vision. I don't want to talk about individuals. I respect